Okay, so now have you seen any of the new electric cars that are out?
I haven't actually physically seen one, but like I've seen commercials and kind of researched them.
What's your opinion on them?
I love it. I get the full electric cars aren't entirely practical right now, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Most of them have the option where you run on electric or you can run on gas because you can only normally go a certain amount without recharging when you run on full electricity. But then if you're going on longer trips, you'd switch over to gas. And I think that's great. If you're just going around town to run a couple errands, you don't have to worry about burning fuel. It's much cleaner, it's better, and I think it's a step in the right direction.
Okay, now personally, you start thinking about it going, if I don't have to pay $3 a gallon for gas, and I can drive when I'm in Muncie around to like Peter Pit, go around different places, and save that money, why not make the investment into an electric car?
Well, sure. I think the initial cost of the car is a hurdle for people. They're very expensive.
I agree with that. They're a little outrageous for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of the problem with that is that they're so expensive because there's not enough of them made.
Mm-hmm.
They are new. They're kind of like, oh, we got the new iPhone. We got to charge. It's a premium because it is a new product. But my other thing is, I am not going to feel as safe in an electric car on a long distance unless it has that hybrid gas feature to it. Because if I'm just driving around town, yes, electric car, wonderful. I think you got to have the hybrid in it to be able to run long distance.
Oh, I agree, and I think hybrid's probably the route we're going to go, just because until we can develop a battery that can last a very long time on long distance trips, and we have charging stations around the country, and that, of course, is way in the future that will be there. So I think hybrid is probably what we're going to see become more popular in the next 20 to 30 years.
We start looking at the economics of it. Yes, it's going to save our environment. Yes, it's going to create new jobs. But what about the jobs it's going to lose or that's going to destroy? So the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
If, say, we go from hybrid in 20 years, we go to all electric everywhere. There's charging stations. Yes, charging stations are going to need people there, but are they going to be as prevalent as gas stations? Because, I don't understand. If you got a charging station, do you have to stay there 4 hours to get the charge?
I don't know. I don't know how that all works. You probably, I would think, maybe even if you have a 1-to-1 ratio and converting gas stations to charging stations, people will lose jobs because they aren't really equipped to work at a charging station necessarily. They've been trained to work at a gas station. But that is how the free market economy works. And the hope is that in that progression you also develop higher tech jobs and people become trained to do those jobs, and that's sort of how society progresses.
Now, see, I totally agree. We should move towards electric cars because their dependence on oil is so great. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and go, I hope this works. You got to start spreading it up. You can create electricity via oil, coal, wind, solar. One I'm a really big fan of is wind energy. I was driving through. We went to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see the wind farms, and I was just amazed. And I don't see why people would get upset about having a windmill around because it's just a big thing in a big pinwheel.
I agree.
And I know it like at my home school. They're getting offered to get paid to allow a company to put a windmill on the school grounds. And the school board is, I think, 50-50 split. They don't want to start selling school grounds to be put to use in a business, but it's just a little plot of land. You're not the windmill. The worst case scenario, the windmill falls over, smashes a building. That's why you put it away from buildings. We have a huge cornfield that doesn't have anything in it. Nothing is going to happen with that, and I don't understand why people would even hesitate with that.
Oh, I see there are some complaints that the vibrations from windmills affect things and stuff. I don't really see that being too big of an issue. In all honesty, I think people use that as excuses to not get them put in places. I am a big proponent of alternative fuels, largely because of the impact it would have, the positive impact it would have on the environment. But also, I think, again, we have to progress. We have to continue to move forward in technology if we want to stay ahead of the game. But realistically, to think that we are going to make the switch over
overnight, it's not going to happen.
It's not. Whether we like it or not, coal and oil are going to have to be involved with our energy production for a very long time. And a lot of steps have to be taken in this country to really get alternative fuels to work. We don't have the proper energy grid in this country right now to really support alternative fuels. We, don't have the manufacturing capacity to produce the alternative fuels. A lot of, I know wind and solar is relatively developed, but still, there's more development to take place to really get them off the ground and make them really legitimate sources of energy.
I mean, take a look at Muncie. We maybe have 2 electric cars around here, and I think they're owned by Ball State. I'm not sure exactly how many, but do you see solar panels anywhere? I don't see windmills. I don't see it, and I mean, we're a very green campus, and we have the geothermal project going in. That is a very big step, but I don't understand what is holding us back to switch. If we know the benefits and we're aware that it's going to help the environment and in the end up helping our bottom line, why is there even hesitation to switch?
I know we are a free market society, and I know the hope is that the market will dictate that it's time to move forward and private companies will start making the investments towards green energy. But really, if we want to see some substantial changes take place in moving towards alternative fuels, there's got to be a national energy strategy in place that sets those targets in motion. And especially when we're talking about economic recessions and downturns, a great way to really fuel the economy and really get it going again is to adopt a national energy plan that rebuilds our system, gets manufacturing going and producing windmills and solar panels. And that, I think, would be something that could really get our economy going again nationwide, plus could move us down the path of creating a sustainable energy future that gets us off of foreign oil and that would, sustain us for the next century.
I mean, I totally agree with that, but I see why it's not happening. You have the oil companies. They're going, wait a second here. Why should, in an economic downturn, we suffer and other people benefit? It's basic. They're not wanting to give up. They don't want to be the loser in the end. And I'm not sure how you get around that.
Well, and a lot of people are employed by the oil industry as well.
Yeah. I mean, you have the natural disasters, the Gulf oil spill. I mean, you have all these things that the public kind of turns. It's like, wait a second, maybe we should start switching something. But then they go, oh, well, I get from place A to point A to point B in my car. I probably shouldn't get too mad. And I mean, the price of gas is so inelastic. It doesn't matter if it gets to $6 or if it's down at $1. People are going to buy the same amount, no matter what. And I don't know when that change or when I am going to have that day is like, you know what, I'm tired of this, and I want to get an electric car and do this, or I'm putting a windmill in my backyard, and I'm going to start feeding back to the grid instead of them just feeding me stuff.
I think it's all going to come down to, at least for right now, individual priorities. I think individuals making the responsible steps, and you know what, I'm going to put a solar panel on my house, I'm going to invest and buy the hybrid car. Those are the steps that need to be taken right now. And then once more and more people sort of gather together in this green energy movement, then I think something a bit more national can take place.
So it needs to start local, like a grassroots movement.
Kind of,
and
exactly.
Then build upon that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see that completely. I think you've got to start off small, and it just got to be, someone's got to make a difference. Someone's got to be able to market a solar panel in a way that it's going to see a benefit for everybody, and at a price that people can afford it. Just my personal opinion.
I totally agree.